And welcome back, everybody. So, I haven't done a lot of show reviews in a while. It's just, back when like the Marvel shows were coming out in mass, I was doing an episode by episode review kind of them. But I just kind of stopped because it takes a lot of time and effort to not just, doing the video doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take a lot of working around the schedule to be sure I do it within time of the episode. And I just can't do that all the time. So I kind of stopped doing that for a little while. But with the Acolyte, I just watched episode 4. There are 8 episodes of this series, so I figured, why don't I do like half reviews, like bi-seasonal reviews of these shows. So when I get to halfway through the season, I'll give you my thoughts, and I'll give you my thoughts on the finale. And as you saw through the title, the Acolyte is ... I have thoughts. So it's kind of going around the internet that the Acolyte is not very good. People are saying it's woke, it's the gay agenda, or it's murdering canon. So my thoughts on this, first off, if you're using woke, shut up. You don't use it right. Second off, to the gay agenda thing real quick, let's talk about that for a second. Here's actually the weird thing about that. I, in concept, actually kind of understand what people are talking about with that. It's stupid, though. Don't get me wrong. Just because there is a gay couple in a series does not mean there's a gay agenda. You know what's an agenda? Excluding people from a series or a movie, despite the fact, guess what? They actually exist. If you can't handle that, shut up, go sit in your basement, and jerk off to your Princess Leia porn. I'm sorry, just shut up. That's not agenda. That's not a gay agenda. Including a gay couple is not a gay agenda. However, the showrunner herself legitimately did say she had a bit of a gay agenda, like a queer agenda. She was trying to, and she wanted to kind of put a little bit of a, queer into Star Wars a little bit. She actually openly said that. So at least from where that comes from, I actually can understand where people like the gay agenda. The problem here is, this is where the problem comes in. She said that, and she quoted Frozen, which I found very odd. Like, you do know those two are not queer with each other, right? They're sisters. And if you're saying that, well, Elsa's clearly gay, it's like, no. They have done nothing to illustrate what her sexuality is. That's you reading into something. Now, if they make her gay, then congratulations, you called it. But that was just a weird thing to use as an example. But regardless, it'd be one thing if you had a queer agenda, sure, which apparently she did say, at least on some level she did. But it's another thing to say you have it and then do nothing with it. Like, at least for the first 4 episodes, apart from having a queer couple, there's been no gay agenda whatsoever in this series. Like, there's been nothing queer about the show, save for maybe some sort of minor romantic feelings with, was it Ashi and the Daphne King Jedi, who I don't know her name off the top of my head. The only characters whose names I actually remember right now are Ashi, May, and Sol. Those are the only ones whose names I actually remember. So yeah, apart from maybe something implied, but even then, you kind of got to read into it. Like, you got to really kind of read in a little bit for that to make any sense. So the queer gen thing, that's stupid, but I at least can kind of understand where they were coming from, because they did openly say they had a little bit of that in there. So yeah, and then the canon stuff, like, so far very little, if any, has broken from canon. People are like, Yada Mundi can't be this, can't be here because that's what his age was, which, if you really stop and look into it, it's not official canon. That's what his age was. It was on apparently it was on a disc from episode 1 back in the 90s, which wasn't Lucas canon. The only real official canon is the Lucas canon, and technically anything that's come before that. So we don't know dick about how old his species can actually be. And if you want to argue that, go ahead. You're probably wrong. Sorry. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm right. I'm saying that because I saw the facts, and the facts said that that's a wrong statement. And then people saying that he's a liar, that he knew this, that he didn't know anything about the Sith, but saying it's like the Sith, it's the Sith behind this. Okay, that's people literally being wrong about that. He did not say a damn thing about the Sith. He did not once, and I watched that episode earlier today, not once are the term Sith, is the term Sith ever used. So That's inaccurate. That's fans getting butthurt about something that wasn't there. And then people saying that, oh, no, this breaks canon, about how the twins were conceived, how it breaks canon, because this, allegedly they think they used the Force to conceive these kids. A, we don't know that's what happened. That's the implication. I'll grant you that's the implication. But hey, we don't know that's what happened. And B, just because that's what happened with Anakin doesn't mean it can't happen again. If anything, Anakin proves it can happen. So, and someone's consciously using the Force, the Force willing this. Hell, it's theorized Darth Plagueis is actually the one who conceived Anakin with the Force. So, either way, like, it doesn't break canon. I'm sorry if the butt hurts you, but it doesn't break canon. So now we got the canon butthurt thing out of the way. We got the queer, the gays are coming thing out of the way. The show, look, we're only halfway through the show. Maybe the second half is going to be amazing. But this, I talked to my dad about it, and he agreed. This was like the fourth was the worst episode. This is not a very good show right now. And it comes from a very core issue, really. It comes from a couple big issues. But one of the core issues is the writing is just very, like, this is something I could have wrote. Hell, I wrote a story for Christmas that was the most fanfic you could ever fanfic. I wrote me and my friends and my girlfriend and all that. We're in a multiversal tournament with superpowers to fight characters from fiction. And my writing is better than this writing. And my writing isn't that good. Like, I don't think my writing was dog shit or anything like that. But, and no, you're never going to read that fan fiction. That's never seen the light of day just because that's not happening. So don't bother asking. But, like, seriously, some of these ones, like, there's good lines in the series. Like, the one, it's like, we're not defined by what we lost. We're defined by or something along the lines of, it was something along the lines of, we're not defined by what we lost. We're defined by what we survive. That's a good line. Like, there's good scenes sprinkled throughout. And there's good moments. Like, watching the Jedi actually fight hand to hand is really cool. But from a pacing standpoint, this show still feels like it's only just starting. It's still 4 episodes in. It feels like we're only on like episode 2. Because we've done so much meandering back and forth. There's just so much nonsensical story angles going on here that it makes no sense, really. Like the Jedi saying, why didn't you, Jedi flat out saying, why didn't you go and take care of it? Why didn't you tell us? I did tell you. I told you this was happening and you told me to come here. Like, we saw the Jedi can literally FaceTime. So why are they not doing that? Why bother coming all the way out here? Like, it makes no goddamn sense. Like, the logic of a lot of these characters having, it makes no goddamn sense. You advertise Carrie-Anne Moss in the trailer, one of the big forefronts of the trailer. She's there in that poster in the background there, and you kill her in the first episode? Why? Look, she's in the flashback, sure. The Wookiee Jedi. You're building up a confrontation with the Wookiee Jedi. A powerhouse physical being who's a Jedi is awesome. And you kill him off screen? And allegedly the Wookiee fight was cut due to budget? Are you effing me on a Star Wars series? You're saying the bullshit of that fight was cut due to budget and story. That's bullshit. Because what you apparently want us to watch is this enthralling drama that's going on here with these characters who, except for Soul, aren't that likable. Oshi, is it Ashi or Oshi? I think it's Oshi, right? Oh, and I believe Oshi is the two girls are played by the same actress because they're supposed to be twins. Oshi is not unlikable, but she's not that likable. She's just there. I'm not invested in her as a character, as a lead. Like, I get her tragedy, and I get the idea of it trying to do a murder mystery around her twin and Sith, whoever it may be. I'll get to that in a minute. But you're just not making me. You're not. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for here? You're not endearing me to her that much. I don't hate Oshi. Again, is it Oshi or Aoshi? I'm going to go Aoshi because it's easier for me to say. I don't hate Aoshi. Mei, I don't like very much. Mei, see, that third episode did that character no justice whatsoever. Now, obviously, it's clear she's either was mind controlled to set the fire in episode 3, or it wasn't her to begin with. It was like an illusion or something in the skies, whatever. But they are really not doing this character any favors. They made her too bratty in that third episode as a young kid. Like, not being able to accept that her sister wanted something different. Like, just seriously, just something's off with that entire. And I think it hurts me to say this. The acting wasn't good in that episode. The acting from the two girls, the young girls, not the leads, but the young girls, was not good, and I don't think that helped at all. The whole concept of the dark side witches, which clearly they are dark side witches, it was interesting, but I hope it leads to something else, because I hear people come like, "Oh, that dancing was terrible." Sure, but what does that matter? In terms of quality show, it wouldn't matter if the dancing was good. The episode would still have been poor. So I'm not buying Aoshi very much. And Mei, I'm like, God, you're just this entitled little snot, aren't you? Like, oh, I suffered loss. I don't care. Like this whole idea that the Jedi don't attack weak individuals, or don't attack the defenseless. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Like, even as stuck up as the Jedi are here, and they're stuck up, they don't do that, and you should know that. Clearly, I mean, granted, your only interaction theoretically is when they showed up on your planet, so it's clear the manipulation of whoever the Sith was involved there in her misinformation. And then that sudden turn in the most recent episode, that's not good storytelling. This is fanfic. This is fanfic happening right now. And it's really not good fanfic. Now this all comes from there's not a lot of the characters I'm very invested in. Now, I say all these problems, and there's still more problems that I'll get to. But let me talk about things that are working. When there are combat scenes in this show, they're good combat scenes. Watching the hand-to-hand combat, especially watching a Jedi Knight even pick up their lightsaber and just be like, that's cool. That is actually pretty cool. I do like seeing, I do like lore. So I like seeing the world 100 years, or like the Jedi Order 100 years prior, the little we're seeing from them. When we are getting like wide planetary shots, I like the locations. There are some good scenes when the Sith comes behind Aoshi at the end of the most recent episode, and that it was just that silent, almost like a specter coming to the ground kind of thing. That was really cool. And it's clear we're now going to actually get some like Sith on Jedi. I hope to God, I hope they don't just like tease us and like do nothing with it. Sith to Jedi combat. I like the idea of a murder mystery, and at least from the first 2 episodes, it was kind of working for a little bit. I like the actor playing Soul. In fact, I like Soul's character. Soul's like the one legit good character in this series so far. And he's still good. My dad jokes about how his accent's a little difficult to deal with sometimes. And, that's fair. When your ears are only trained to hear a certain type of dialect, that can be a bit of a problem. But, the fact is it's his first English-speaking role. So, you know what? I think he's doing pretty well, honestly. And I at least want to know who the Sith is. I'm at least invested enough to be like, I'm not going to quit the show. I'm not someone who will hate watch something, because I'm not hating the show, but I'm not loving it. We're halfway through the series, and I'm not loving it. And there's good ideas sprinkled throughout here. The problem simply comes down to, the writing isn't good, and the execution isn't good. When you factor execution and writing, and they're not that good, and the pacing is not good at all either, you're getting a show that's just, the good is not outweighing the bad. With Obi-Wan, I felt like the good still outweighed the bad. Like that Vader-Obi-Wan clash at the end of Obi-Wan was fantastic. Kind of made up for nearly the entire show, if we're going to be honest. And that first episode, I think the second episode was pretty good too. So there was enough good in Obi-Wan that I leaned towards liking it. And I'm going to say this right now. We still don't know who the Sith is. I hope to God it's not the whiny helper friend guy who allegedly knows the Sith, at least on some level as well. Because A, they've been kind of teeing it up with that language a little bit. But B, with the way he's been talking. But B, that would be, because everyone can kind of see that coming. And what's the point of doing a murder mystery if you're, oh, I'm starting to lag a little bit. What's the point of doing a murder mystery if you're going to make the character so obvious? That's just bad writing. Like, what's the point of doing that and thinking you're being clever? You're not being clever then. You're not. You're being so upfront about how obvious you are that you should not be writing these things. I don't know what it has been with the writing with Star Wars shows as of late. Mandalorian Season 3 suffered quality. I didn't think it was bad, but it was the weakest season. I think most people agree with that. Boba Fett, not good. 2.5 episodes of that was just freaking Mandalorian Season 2.5 out of 7 episodes. That's bad. Ahsoka had good episodes. That 4th episode was fantastic. But then just suffered. Particularly that last episode was not good. Was not good. And Obi-Wan was hit and miss. So the writing has been really weird. But Andor is fantastic. The first couple seasons of Mandalorian are fantastic. So it's not like they can't do good writing. I just don't know what's going on here. I pray to God that guy is not the Sith. I pray to God he's not. Because if he is, there's no hope for this show. Because the character isn't even that interesting. He's just coming off as someone hiding something. So it's not clever when it's obvious. One of the theories I've heard is it's the other like Night Sister. No, maybe not Night Sister, but the other witch. Not their mother, but the ones that I carry them, but I created them. The white woman. Her partner, basically. And because she was a lot more adamant about not letting them leave. So now, you know what? That would make a lot more sense. Because she would have been there to trick Ashi, mind control or whatever, into burning the temple. Could have saved her. Could disguise her voice. No worries. I think height-wise, she'd be around the right height of the Sith, sadly, along with the other guy, too. So, I hope it's not, whoever it is, I just hope it's not him, because it's just so freaking obvious. It's so freaking obvious if it is him. Like, if you're not fooling on it. Now, hopefully he's a red herring. I hope that it's so obvious that he's a red herring. But regardless, yeah. So, I brought it to my dad after we finished watching. He's like, agreed, that wasn't a very good episode. And I realized very quickly what this show is kind of being. It's being Star Wars She-Hulk. She-Hulk, a series, by the way, that I still lean on the side of just barely liking, but acknowledge all the problems with it. And some of the problems I think people are a little harsher on than others. I think one video I might do by the end of the week is one like a full just overview of She-Hulk, because I've been thinking about it for a long while and just want to address it. But yeah, it's kind of Star Wars' She-Hulk to some degree, where it started actually most people agree it's actually started strong, and it actually didn't start like at the strongest peak, but it started okay. It didn't start badly. But it's quickly taking a nosedive in quality, and it's starting to get like prequel to Rise of Skywalker bad. And most people like to say that, oh no, the prequels are far better than the sequels. And on some level, I'll agree, but on other levels, I think people are full of shit. I think they're doing a revisionist history on that. They're being a lot kinder than they used to be on it. Now, some people may think that, and that's fine. But the prequels, for all the problems the prequels have, and they have a lot, they had a clear vision of the story. And I think that's the problem with the sequels, is that they clearly didn't. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is coming off to me like a bit of a She-Hulk, where the writing is starting to become very, not one-dimensional, that's not the right term, but it's becoming very amateurish for writing. Like I said, I feel like I could have written this. And I'm not even the best writer in the world. So, like, if I feel like I can write it, there's a problem. Because I am just a nobody who's written occasional fanfic stories for friends. I am not someone who should be writing a Star Wars show. And if I feel like I can write it, there's a problem going on here. I definitely could have rewritten She-Hulk to be better. Now, and I'll talk about more about She-Hulk and the problems and things I actually agree with later on in a different video, because I've decided I'm going to do that before the end of the week, because I got the time to do it. But She-Hulk's got some writing I actually liked and writing I hated. So we'll get to She-Hulk when we get to She-Hulk. But Acolyte is quickly turning into that. Now, we're only halfway through the Acolyte. Maybe these last 4 episodes can really bring it home and at least make a problematic series entertaining. A okay series. Like, these could be the best episodes of Star Wars ever and still wouldn't make the series the best series ever. It would make it at best, okay series or good series. I think if you, like I said, if you could make the fast 4 at least as good as, say, I'm not going to use Mandalorian. I'm going to use some episode 4 of Ahsoka, where she's fighting Bail and all that, because that's a good episode of Star Wars. If you could make these last 4 episodes that quality, I'd say the show is at least salvaged. Is it great? No. But is it salvaged? Yes, I would say it was salvaged. So, yeah, well, we'll see where the Acolyte is after the last 4 episodes, and I'll come back to you with my final series overview. But, yeah, suffice it to say, not enjoying it immensely right now. Did not really like that last episode pretty much at all. The first 2 episodes were okay. Honestly, the first one was even solid, I'd say. Second one was fine. Third one was, I liked it a bit more than some other people did, but it was just, it was all right. And now we're in a bad episode. So we're quickly starting to go downhill here. We need to pick it up. And hopefully next week with a Sith and about a dozen Jedi, here's hoping we can get at least some good fights going on. And they're not going to be off screen like, oh my God, we better survive that Jedi, that Sith. It couldn't have been. It's like, we lost so many. How about you show that happen? I digress. Now my anxiety and my little orange person in my head's getting in there. We'll see what happens though. Until then though, what are you thinking of the Acolyte so far? Let me know. Do you actually like it? Are people out there who like it? Do you hate it? Or do you think are you kind of like me, where you're like, I started to like it, now it's starting to lose my interest. Maybe it will pick up. We'll find out. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Later.